Hello everyone, welcome to StudyIQ IAS English. My name is Pooja Dwivedi and I shall be your helper today in understanding Israel's war cabinet, also known as the emergency government or unity government. Why is it named so? Because at this time of need, Israelis have joined hands, not only at the citizen level but also at the government level. The current ruling government, along with its many rivals, have come together in order to formulate a sub-cabinet that is by the name of war cabinet. You can also call it as emergency government or a unity government. Now, from the perspective of prelims as well as mains, it is important to understand it. Also, from the perspective of general knowledge, it is important to understand how this war cabinet is going to effectively end the Hamas. Gaza Strip is just like Lucknow from Indian perspective, the area of it. It is completely surrounded by the Israeli ministry, making it hard for the people to escape that region. Israelis have been evacuated. I will tell you all the things with the help of maps, so do not go anywhere. Do not worry about the notes as well because I have provided through my Telegram channel, Pooja Dwivedi UPSC. If you have any queries regarding this examination, feel absolutely free to talk to me on my Instagram and follow me on my threads. So, Israel emergency government has been sworn in amidst war against Hamas. And also it has been expanded. Earlier there were 3 people and 1 reserved seat was there for Yair Lapid and 2 observers were there. But now it has been expanded. An expansion would mean more people will be drawn in to clear the territory of Gaza completely from the Hamas. And this has been done through a legislature. And through that legislative process, 66:4, this emergency government has been formulated. Why is a war government formed or a war cabinet or an emergency government formed? It is generally seen that during the times of war, which is an emergency period for that country, normal course of the government cannot take place until and unless the external fears, the external threat is driven away. And hence, war cabinet. It has gotten more prominence in the World War II, specifically Winston Churchill's time. So, a war cabinet or an emergency government or a unity government wants to efficiently and effectively coordinate any kind of operation against a group or any other country or against a situation. And this is what Israel's war cabinet is going to do. Prime Minister and or the President of the nation, according to the political structure, and senior military officers are generally a part of this emergency government or the war cabinet. It's a subset of a full executive cabinet of ministers. It's not a separate one, but a subset of the Council of Ministers. Then it also has opposition politicians as members. For Israel, it has 3 members, and the members are Netanyahu, Gantz, and also the Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. Earlier, Yair Lapid was also supposed to join it. A reserved seat was put for him, but he said that he is not going to join hands. The problem is that he wasn't happy with the kind of failure that the current government went through in understanding and gathering intelligence about the Hamas issue, about the Hamas surprise intifada that they did, attacking under the Al-Aqsa flood operation, attacking Israeli territories with 5,000 rockets in the first 20 minutes. So what was the intelligence doing? This was his question. So that is why he is not a part of it. Moving on. As I told you, Netanyahu, Gantz and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant are a part of it. Gadi Eisenkot, who was also involved in the military, and Ron Dermer, who is Strategic Minister, Minister of Strategic Affairs, is going to be a part of it. And these are some very important, influential and powerful leaders of Israel. Moving on. The thing is that right now the state of Israel has a unity government. At a time like this, we must join forces, give support to IDF soldiers and work as one until there is complete victory, the state of Israel over its enemy. Right now, it is Israel over anything else. And they have completely surrounded the Gaza Strip. I will talk about it with the help of maps, so please be there. I will also try to present a picture that will give you more clarity. Moving on. See, why has it been formed? I have told you. But not only at the effectiveness level and the coordinative level, but also from the national perspective. Any emergency government which has been formed gets a lot of consensus from the general public. So the public can feel safe that our government, be it the current ruling or the government that could be in the making, they are working together to help us. So to get a broader national consensus for military action, that means we know that every party has a representation. Some people might find relatively relation with some party, some might find with another. When they come together, a broader consensus is made, and any military action that has to take place in Gaza will get more support. Now, Gantz and Eisenkot are former Israeli ministry chiefs of staff, and that has given this particular government a lot of edge, because it wasn't having it before. Now a government has been formed in emergency, more coordination, more insight, more edge will be given, and no legislation in the Knesset or the government resolution will be advanced during the war which is not associated with it. Even if we talk about the judicial reforms that were taking place, that has also been kept at bay right now. So evacuation has been ordered from here, this particular region. And this region of Gaza is completely surrounded by the Israeli military. As you can see, Israeli civilians have been evacuated from here. This region is also ordering evacuation, and this region entirely is completely under the control of military. Military is completely taking control of the Gaza Strip. Also, we know that blockade has been put. That means no water, no fuel, no power, nothing is accessible to Gaza right now. And Gaza has become an airtight region. It is also known as world's largest free air prison. Because where will you go to escape? Here is the Mediterranean Sea, and here is Gaza Strip, which, because it is a strip, it is just a strip. It is completely surrounded by Israel. However, you see in October 9th, Israel had made attacks on mosques as well. Why? Because these mosques were flooded with refugees, and the Hamas militants also were there. So that is why this is all what Israel has alleged, not my words, of course. So what did Israel do? It started bombing mosques as well. Yasin Mosque, Al-Gharbi Mosque, Al-Susi Mosque, Al-Yarmouk Mosque, market area, everything has been bombed by Israel. This is in retaliation to the Hamas strike that took place. Okay, moving on. As you see, Palestinian death toll so far greatly exceeds those of recent conflicts. And this is what the Palestinian Ministry of Health is saying. Okay, and as you can see, the toll is completely above the charts. If we compare it to 2008, 2009, it was 430, now it is 1417. Even if we talk about UN office, the UN office has also presented certain pictures which is very grim, because eventually it is the common people who are dying, who just want peace. Militants are dying, that is another thing. Terrorists are dying, that is another thing. But civilians are also dying. Innocent children, we have been seeing pictures from both Gaza and Israel. It is eventually the common man who is suffering. And as you can see, if we talk about 2023, more people in Israel have died in this conflict than in years of conflict in decades. More Israelis have died. When it comes to Palestinian, it is still less right now as compared to Israelis for this particular year. For 2014, it was Palestinian deaths. That, this was a 50-day war that took place. And here, 73 Israelis died, but in retaliation, 2,000 Palestinians, most of them were civilians who died. This war is not going to cost anything, but only and only lives and hopes. So right now, what does this emergency government want? Completely wiping off Gaza, as in the Hamas they are talking about. But what is happening? The Gazans are also dying. Those people who really do not want anything else but live peacefully. Moving on. As you can see, this is Gaza, the Gaza Strip. It has a border with Israel, of course, and there is Egypt. The Rafah crossing is under the control of Egypt. So if Egypt wants to intervene, it may, but the war will become much more scalable in nature. You see, this is the Rafah crossing and here is the Erez crossing. The crossings have been closed, of course, by Israel. And this is just an airtight strip. Even USA has also come to the help of Israel, the biggest supplier of arms to Israel. Moving on. The thing is that right now everything has been kept at bay. Even the protests that were going on for a judicial overhaul, that has also died down. So the current situation is that the Israeli government has frozen the government's judicial overhaul, and this is a very controversial legislation because this legislation abolishes reasonable doctrine on which the Supreme Court tried to evaluate government's policies. So people were not actually happy with the Israeli government, but now as a nation they have come together. Moving on, as I told you that during the time of Winston Churchill, this concept of war cabinet became very important. It was in 1920s that plans were being arranged to evacuate the Prime Minister, cabinet ministers and key personnel from London in case of any emergencies. But they also had to think about the civilians. The civilians won't be happy if they will see that only the government and key personnel are being carried away to a safe place, but not us. So, emergency shelters were sought out in central London. Eventually, new public offices building was selected in June 1938, which was near Parliament. It was pretty safe in nature. It has a huge basement, and war cabinet met in the basement during air attacks during the world wars, the important world wars, World War II. And what happens that all the kind of data and important things used to be kept here only. So this was very important data of the Prime Minister Churchill, the armed forces and King George VI. They also were gathered there. They also saw the importance of a war cabinet. So this was the origin of the concept, and this was also having a big map room through which they could trace where they have to attack and where they have to hide. And this war cabinet or emergency room or whatever you may want to call it, Britain when declared a war on Germany on August 27, 1939, a week before it, this war room was fully operational. So here we have the concept of it, the history of it. Now P2I batches have been launched from 10th of October and it is closing on 15th of October. Make sure you take admission as quick as possible. Not only we will provide you the GS but also CSAT, ethics, essay, test series, everything is covered. According to your own needs, you can either select a silver one that is for validity, that has a validity for 18 months. Gold is for 30 months and platinum is for 42 months. And 23,999 is the cost of silver. Gold 26,999 and platinum 29,999. So make sure you use the code PDLive so that you can get it at a discounted price. Thank you so much for watching. Stay updated.